High Commander Draxos Valerian of the Arturian hegemony stood on the command deck of the Stellar Dominance, the flagship of the combined fleet of the Seven Systems Alliance. Around him, representatives from each of the Alliance's member species monitored their stations with a quiet efficiency that had made them the undisputed masters of this sector of the galaxy. "Status report on the unknown vessel," Draxos demanded, his six-fingered hand tightening around the ceremonial scepter that symbolized his authority. Lieutenant Mira Thaxis, a slender Procyon with iridescent scales, looked up from her holographic display. "The vessel remains on its current trajectory, Commander. It appears to be of human design, though unlike any configuration we've encountered before." Draxos scoffed. "Humans. The upstarts of the galaxy. Barely 2 centuries since they'd achieved faster-than-light travel, and they thought they could navigate disputed territories as if interstellar law didn't apply to them. Have they responded to our hails?" he asked. "Negative, Commander," replied Communications Officer Zol, his tendrils pulsating with anxiety. They maintained communication silence. The strategic advisor, Tiberian X, approached with a data crystal. "You should see this, Commander. Our long-range scans have identified the vessel as the UES Thermopylae. Intelligence suggests it's a prototype." Draxos examined the projection. The human ship was oddly shaped, asymmetrical, where Arturian designs favored perfect geometric harmony, with strange protrusions that defied conventional shipbuilding wisdom. "A single vessel," Draxos mused, his mandibles clicking in amusement. "Do they think to intimidate us with one ship when we command a fleet of 300? Perhaps it's a diplomatic overture," suggested Ambassador Lyriakal, the only pacifist among his war council. "The humans have been seeking dialogue for months." "Diplomacy backed by warships is no diplomacy at all," Draxos countered. "It's a crude attempt at intimidation. We will show them what true power means." He turned to his tactical officer. "Deploy the fleet in formation Epsilon. Target their propulsion systems. I want that vessel disabled and boarded." As the Alliance fleet moved into position, surrounding the lone human ship like predators circling wounded prey, Draxos felt a surge of pride. The Seven Systems Alliance had dominated this region for millennia. Their technology was unmatched, their tactics perfected through countless conflicts. "They're powering weapon systems," announced Tactical Officer Rendak, his voice betraying surprise. "Energy signatures don't match any known human weaponry." "A bluff," Draxos declared confidently. "Their military budget is a fraction of ours. Whatever they've built, it cannot hope to stand against the combined might of 7 advanced civilizations." The holographic display showed the human vessel continuing its steady approach, seemingly undeterred by the overwhelming force arrayed against it. "Send the ultimatum," Draxos commanded. "They have 1 standard cycle to power down and prepare for boarding, or we will open fire." The message was transmitted, and the command deck fell silent, waiting for the inevitable capitulation. Humans were practical creatures, after all. Surely they would recognize the futility of resistance. Instead, the Thermopylae accelerated. "They've locked weapons on our flagship," Rendak reported, his voice rising in pitch. "Energy readings are impossible. Our sensors must be malfunctioning." Draxos felt the first flicker of doubt. "What kind of readings?" "If these are accurate," Rendak replied slowly, "their weapons output exceeds our entire fleet's combined firepower by a factor of 3. The Thermopylae moved with unexpected grace for a vessel of its size, its hull gleaming under the light of the distant sun. As the Alliance fleet maintained its threatening formation, the human ship transmitted its first communication, not in words, but in action. A pulse of energy, invisible to the naked eye but blindingly bright on tactical displays, swept across the Alliance formation. Ship after ship reported systems failures as targeting computers, weapons platforms, and propulsion systems went temporarily offline. "What just happened?" Draxos demanded, watching in disbelief as a third of his fleet drifted powerless. "Some form of electromagnetic pulse," Tiberian analyzed, his usual composure shaken, "but focused, selective in its targets. This isn't brute force technology, it's surgical." The human vessel continued its advance, now broadcasting on all frequencies. A figure appeared on the main view screen, a human female with obsidian skin and silver-white hair cropped close to her scalp. Her uniform bore insignia unfamiliar to Alliance intelligence. "This is Admiral Octavia Ingeri of the United Earth ship Thermopylae," she announced, her voice carrying an authority that silenced the command deck. "Your fleet is deployed in violation of the Proxima Accords. Power down weapons and withdraw to your recognized territories." Draxos laughed, though it sounded hollow even to his own hearing. "You dare to make demands? One ship against our armada? Your species' arrogance knows no bounds." Admiral Ingeri's expression remained unchanged. "This isn't arrogance, High Commander. This is mathematics. Your ships are impressive by the standards of the past century. The Thermopylae represents what humanity builds when truly motivated." "They thought us weak," Tactical Officer Rendak murmured, scanning the incoming data. "Commander, their hull composition. It's unlike anything in our database. And these energy signatures, they've harnessed dark matter weaponry. That's theoretical technology." Draxos felt cold dread pooling in his thoracic cavity. Dark matter weapons had been pursued by Arturian scientists for generations without success. If the humans had achieved this breakthrough, "We still outnumber them drastically," he said, forcing confidence into his voice. "Even with superior technology, one ship cannot defeat hundreds." As if in answer to his statement, the Thermopylae activated its main propulsion system. What happened next defied the understanding of every scientist on the Alliance fleet. The human vessel seemed to fold space around itself, appearing simultaneously in multiple locations. "Quantum displacement drive," gasped Science Officer Vex Parathion. "They've mastered positional uncertainty at a macro level." Before the Alliance could react, precision strikes disabled the weapon systems of 20 more vessels. Not destroyed, disabled with surgical precision. "This is your final warning," Admiral Ingeri continued, her image now appearing on every screen throughout the fleet. "The Thermopylae is a peacekeeping vessel, but it is authorized to use necessary force. We have targeted your weapon systems only. The next round will target life support." Draxos felt the command staff looking to him for direction. His entire career, his species' dominance, the very foundation of the Alliance, all rested on how he responded to this unprecedented challenge. "Launch all fighter squadrons," he ordered. "Overwhelm them with numbers. No single vessel can track and engage thousands of targets simultaneously." The order went out, and across the fleet, launch bays disgorged swarms of fighter craft, sleek, maneuverable vessels piloted by the Alliance's elite warriors. Admiral Ingeri sighed visibly. "Disappointing, but predictable. Allow me to demonstrate why this approach is flawed." The Thermopylae emitted a spherical field of shimmering energy that expanded outward at incredible speed. As it passed through each fighter squadron, their engines simply stopped. Thousands of craft, representing the pride of 7 civilizations, drifted helplessly in space. "How?" Draxos whispered. "Selective quantum field manipulation," Admiral Ingeri explained, as if teaching a child. "We've temporarily altered the physical constants within their engine cores. They'll regain functionality in approximately 6 hours, long after your fleet should have departed this region." Silence gripped the command deck of the Stellar Dominance. For the first time in his illustrious career, Draxos felt the unfamiliar sensation of being utterly outmatched. "High Commander," Ambassador Lyria ventured cautiously, "perhaps we should consider diplomatic options." Draxos rounded on her, fury overwhelming his shock. "Diplomacy? While they humiliate us. The Alliance does not bend to threats." "This isn't a threat," Admiral Ingeri's voice cut through his rage. "This is a demonstration. For centuries, the Alliance has expanded through intimidation, leveraging numerical superiority against technologically inferior civilizations. Humanity has chosen a different path." As she spoke, data began flowing into the Alliance systems. Detailed scans of the Thermopylae, specifications that made even the most seasoned engineers on the command staff gasp in astonishment. She's giving us their technology, Tiberian realized. Not all of it, but enough. Enough to understand that conflict between us would be devastating for both sides, Admiral and Jerry confirmed. The Thermopylae is one of 12 such vessels in our fleet. We could have sent all of them. We chose to send one as a gesture of restraint. The implications stunned Draxos. If one human vessel could neutralize his entire fleet without casualties, what could 12 accomplish? And why would they share even limited technical data unless... You're not conquering, he realized aloud. You're recruiting. Admiral Jerry smiled for the first time. The galaxy faces challenges no single species can address alone. The void entities emerging from the galactic core. The collapse of the Andromeda Bridge. These threats require cooperation, not conquest. Tactical displays suddenly lit up with new information. Astronomical data showing anomalies at the galactic core that Alliance sensors had not detected. Projections of devastating consequences within decades if left unchecked. Lieutenant Mira Thaxis examined the data, her scales changing color in alarm. These calculations are accurate, Commander. If these void entities continue expanding at their current rate, they'll reach our territories within 30 years. We've been monitoring them for 5 years, Admiral and Jerry explained. Our scientists believe they're the remnants of an ancient civilization that attempted to harness the energy of the supermassive black hole and created something unnatural. Draxos struggled to process this paradigm shift. For generations, the Alliance had viewed itself as the pinnacle of galactic civilization. The thought that humans, whom they had dismissed as primitive upstarts, had not only surpassed them technologically, but were now offering partnership against an existential threat. It challenged everything he believed. Why should we trust you? He demanded. This could be elaborate deception to force our submission. You're receiving only filtered data, Admiral and Jerry acknowledged. But we've transmitted the full report to your homeworlds. Your own scientists will verify our findings within days. We don't seek your submission, Commander Draxos. We seek your expertise. The Alliance has existed for thousands of years. You've developed social structures and cooperative frameworks humanity is still learning to navigate. The command deck erupted in hushed conversations as officers processed this unexpected turn. The humans weren't demanding surrender. They were offering a seat at a larger table. And if we refuse? Draxos asked, though he already suspected the answer. Admiral and Jerry's expression grew solemn. Then we'll respect your sovereignty and withdraw. But the void entities won't be so diplomatic when they arrive. Alone, even with our technology, humanity's chances of survival are estimated at 30%. Together, those odds improve significantly. 3 standard months after the encounter with the Thermopylae, Draxos stood in the newly constructed Galactic Cooperation Chamber on the neutral world of Nexus Prime. Around him, representatives from 23 civilizations, including the 7 Alliance members and Earth, gathered for the formal signing of the Nexus Accords. The chamber itself was a marvel of collaborative engineering, incorporating architectural elements from all participating species. At its center stood a holographic projection of the approaching void entities, a constant reminder of the threat that had forged this unprecedented alliance. I didn't expect to find myself here, Draxos admitted to Admiral and Jerry, who stood beside him in her formal dress uniform. 3 months ago, I was prepared to fire upon your vessel. And I was prepared to let you try, she replied with a small smile. Sometimes the most effective diplomacy requires a clear demonstration of capabilities. Across the chamber, Alliance engineers worked alongside human technicians, integrating their technologies. The humans' quantum field manipulation and dark matter harnessing, combined with Arturian precision manufacturing and Procyon bioneural interfaces, had already produced prototypes that exceeded either civilization's individual capabilities. You could have conquered us, Draxos said, the question that had haunted him for weeks finally spoken aloud. Why didn't you? Admiral and Jerry considered her answer carefully. Conquest is easy. Cooperation is harder, but yields greater rewards. Humanity learned that lesson through bitter experience on our own world. We nearly destroyed ourselves before we understood that dominance is a primitive instinct that advanced civilizations must evolve beyond. The chamber quieted as the Earth's representative, Premier Kaito Amara, took the central podium. His weathered face reflected both gravity and hope as he addressed the assembled delegates. Today marks not the surrender of sovereignty, but the birth of something greater than any single civilization could achieve alone, he began. The void entities represent perhaps the greatest threat our galaxy has faced in 1,000,000 years. But in that threat, we have found purpose. In facing extinction, we discover unity. Draxos watched as representatives from civilizations that had been bitter enemies for centuries now stood together. The humans had accomplished in 3 months what the Alliance had failed to achieve in millennia. Genuine cooperation based on mutual respect rather than fear. As the signing ceremony commenced, Draxos found himself seated beside Lyriakal, the pacifist ambassador he had once dismissed. "You were right," he acknowledged. "There are strengths beyond military might." "And you were right to be cautious," she conceded. "Without the demonstration of human capabilities, this alliance might never have formed. Sometimes peace requires the credible threat of force." When his turn came, Draxos approached the document with measured steps. As High Commander, his signature would commit the entire alliance to this new path. He hesitated for only a moment before pressing his palm to the authentication plate. Across the chamber, on the massive viewscreen, real-time images showed the first joint fleet departing for the galactic core. Human quantum ships alongside Alliance vessels, now upgraded with compatible technologies. Leading the fleet was the Thermopylae, joined by the newly retrofitted Stellar Cooperation, formerly the Stellar Dominance. As the ships accelerated into the darkness, Premier Amara offered a final thought that echoed through the chamber. They thought they knew power, the power of weapons, the power of domination. Today, we have discovered a greater power, the combined strength of civilizations united by common purpose. Against this power, even the void itself shall yield. Draxos, watching the fleet disappear into faster-than-light travel, found himself believing it might be true. The humans had proven them wrong about the nature of power itself, and in doing so, had perhaps saved them all.